This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee Sharp, and welcome to the award-winning Aware Show. We're glad to have you right there with us. Pensacola police say in recent years, the city has actually seen a downward trend in violent and property crimes. They say if this trend continues, the crime rate for 2019 will actually be lower than it was in 2016. That's when we experienced higher rates of crime when compared to national and state crime reports. Take a look at the numbers here on your screen. You'll see we had a violent crime rate of 45% higher than the Florida average and 54% higher than the national average. In property crimes, Pensacola was 53% higher than the Florida average and 62% higher than the national average. Now, based on those statistics, we're actually glad to see that the overall crime rate is down. However, we can't help but to notice the number of deadly shootings in our area is up. Well, tonight, we highlight a group of mothers who are members of a club that really no one wants to be a member of this club. We're talking about mothers who have lost their children to violent crimes. Their slain children are not just statistics to us. They were sons, daughters, uncles, cousins, fathers, mothers, and simply put, they all had families who loved them dearly. Well, we want to put faces to the names and let the mothers tell you their stories. And just in case you don't think violent crimes can happen to you, well, you're wrong, because no one is immune. Joining me in our studio to talk more about all of this are members of Parents Against Injustice and Negligence. In short, PAIN is a local community advocacy group which offers support to families who've lost loved ones to violent crimes. The group also works with local law enforcement and other groups to help stop the violence in Pensacola. We want to introduce you to the members who include this lady, Lavon Brown, president of PAIN. Lavon lost her son, Labar, on October 22, 2012. Next is Angela Lindsey-Mixon, vice president of PAIN. Angela lost her daughter, Catherine Lindsey, on February 17, 2011. Next, we have Linda Montgomery. She's the board's director. Linda lost her son, Joel Harris, November 6, 2010. His death still remains unsolved. And Bonnie Anderson, her sister, Danielle Bell, has been missing since 2001 and is presumed dead. Bonnie is also the host of Justice for the Missing, a YouTube program. Also on our panel, we have Tara Spencer, a senior administrative officer with the Pensacola Police Department. And last but not least, we have Ellison Bennett, a member of the National Civil and Human Rights Coalition and a very familiar face here to the Aware Show. Thank you for being here, and thank each and every last one of you for being here. You know, we said it in the green room, we'll say it again here in the studio. Can't say it enough. You women are all brave. You're all courageous to come on our show and just give a voice and a face to those who have been slain, at the hands of violence. And so we appreciate you for coming here and sharing your stories. And we appreciate you for just taking an opportunity to do something that is very difficult, to just continue to repeat some of this over and over again, but still a very necessary thing. So thank you. Can't say that enough. I want to start with you, Lavon, because you started this program called PAIN, and you saw a need in this community based on your own pain. Tell us a little bit more about this organization and what you all have been doing when you came to existence and what's been going on since.
Well, in 2012, we seen the need. It was so many murders going on in the Pensacola area, including my son, Lavar Brown. And I was invited to a prayer walk that was in Montgomery neighborhood. And I met one of the organizer for the prayer walk was Lisa Wiggins. So from there we went on a TV show, and Cindy Martin, Rosa Dukes, myself, we met on the radio station, and from there we said we need to start a group, and we did. So from that point, we have been in the community doing a lot of work, stop the violence awareness. We had a lot of awareness programs that we had put on ourselves, and we do a special in the spirit of giving for children who have been affected by a homicide every year in December. Also, recently we are working on a memorial for the Garden of Peace and Hope for homicide victims. And we try to do what we can. We can't bring our children back, but we try to make sure that this don't happen to another mother, another child, another son, another father, because these people have names, they have lives, they were somebody, and every life is important, every life. So we sacrifice ourselves and go in the community telling our story, and it's hard because we relive that over and over again, and sometimes we are drained because we have to relive it, but it's worth it because if we can save one person, it's worth it all. Because these shoes that we walk in, they call shoes of pain. And we don't want to see nobody else walking in these shoes called pain. That's why we countless hours going and for we all work. This is volunteer for us. So we go out in the community, sharing our story, trying to do what we can to make a difference. And we can't bring them back, our kids. So that's why we doing everything that we can to make a difference that this will stop.
You go, girl. Do your thing. And I love something about you saying that the fact that pain, when you originally even came up with the name, you know, you kept saying pain, something in that. And then you came up with the name of this organization.
Well, actually, Lisa Wiggins, she came up with the name, and she asked her mother about, she was talking to her mother, and then she said, it's a pain that no one want to ever experience.
Like ripping out your soul,
she said.
Right.
Okay. And it is. It's a pain because you, as a mother, you would never think you're going to bury your child.
Right.
You would think they're going to bury you. But, I mean, it's...
I can only imagine what you all, you know, are talking about and what you're going through. And so that's why I said, you know, this is so courageous of you to do what you're doing, you know. Tell us a little bit about what you would like to share with us about your loved ones. And I'll just go ahead and I'll start down here with you, Linda, and we'll just kind of work our way around. Tell us about your loved one.
Well, my son, Joel, he was the baby of the family. I had 3 boys and 1 daughter. He was the baby. And he was shot and killed one night. It just ripped my heart out. And the good thing about it, he left a son here just like him. And, you know, like Lavon said, nobody want to walk in these shoes. It's a pain. And if it wasn't for the Lord on my side, I don't know how I would be able to do it. I'd be probably crazy, probably dead and gone. But I walk with God every day to try to, you know, and when I talk about it, that's my healing. That's my healing. And it's, you know, it's a pain.
Only share the circumstances that you want to share with us here on The Aware Show. Are there any circumstances or is there any detail about what happened to him that you want to share? If not, it's okay.
All I know, at that time, I was working at night, and his baby mama called. I had my phone on vibrate, and When I got ready to go and check my phone, it was lighting up, and it was her on the other end just, hollering. So all I can do is hear his name and dead. Just two things I heard, and I just took the phone and just started running. I mean, because there was a pain, there was something that was inside of me, was just shut up in me that I'm like, this is not real. This is not real. So I cried from that sad day to that Thursday evening. And I got to myself and I prayed to God. I said, God, I cannot do this. I prayed to God. I said, you got to help me. So I sat there and I talked to God for at least half of the day, because all the company had stopped coming by. And so once I prayed to God, I got an ease. And on that, he passed on November the 6th, 2010, exactly 3 years after my father, the same day, November the 6th, 2007, my father passed. So that's from one Saturday to the next Saturday. So I buried him that next Saturday. And so the day of his service, that was my last speak over him. So I know God had me. So I spoke and I say, I thank God for giving me the 20 years that he gave me him. So what I did, I gave him back. I gave him back. And like I said, if I didn't have the Lord on my side, I wouldn't know what I'd be. I don't know where would I be. So it's people don't understand, Like when you at the funeral, the pastor always say, I know y'all done heard it, they're going to need you after. And that's so true. But this November will be 9 years still unsolved. But I'm going to sit right here because I know God going to have me here and I'm going to get justice. So all I can do is sit here and wait on him, because it's not going to be in my timing and nobody's time. It's going to be in the Lord's timing. So he was just an outgoing person. Everybody loved him. I don't know what the reason, but, sometimes kids get in the wrong company and in the wrong places. But still, he was somebody's child. He was somebody's father, somebody's uncle, somebody's brother, somebody's. So, like I say, I'm going to sit right here and wait on the Lord, because I know that justice is coming.
He was a son of Pensacola. He was a son of this community. It's encouraging to see your faith, and that's what's sustaining you. And also this group, PAIN, that's here for you all to be support to one another. Thank you for that. Angela?
My daughter was Catherine Lindsey. She was 22. She left behind a 13-month-old son and a 3-year-old son. She was killed February the 17th of 2011. Her youngest son's father took her life. She was missing for a week, and they found her decomposed body in a shallow grave about a week later. And I thank God for the group called PAIN, because they helped me in a lot of ways. I'll never forget the night when I got the phone call about they had started this organization. I happened to be at the dresser pulling out the clothes for the babies to get them ready for daycare, and I was just crying. I just couldn't stop crying. And I said, God, this is her job to do. I'm not supposed to be here My kids are grown and gone. And here it is, I'm taking out clothes for her 2 sons. And I got the phone call telling me about this organization just started. And ever since I've been, because these mothers, they know the pain never goes away. It's just some days are better than others. We don't forget about our kids. The society might have forgot about them, but we haven't. Some days it's just like yesterday, a certain song, a certain smell, a meal you might be cooking, and all of a sudden you can just break down in tears just like it just happened yesterday. And I can always pick up the phone and call one of them, and they're willing to listen to me and talk me over, talk me through this. And now I'm able to do this for other mothers when they call me, and I tell them no matter what time of the night, pick up that phone. I'm there for you. And we have this saying, I am my sister's keeper. And I thank God for PAIN. Just, they are the backbone of the community.
I just love that they gave you so much support that your first inclination was to be there to do it for somebody else.
Yes, I am able to
Despite
help
your
other
own
mothers
pain.
go through this. We go to court with them. We're able to tell them and prep them for what's going to happen, and then after the court is over, it's really not over, because that person can come back on a reappeal. And here it is, this pain is brought up all over again. You might, if they win their appeal, we got to go back in the courtroom and face that person all over again. So we get a chance to prepare other mothers for what they might have to go through, and let them know they're not alone. And just because your baby died 30 years ago, 8 years ago, 11 years ago, or just yesterday, your child is still your child, and we will never forget your child.
Let me say this to you, Angela. A lot of strength in what you're saying and in what you're doing. And again, your faith obviously resonating through there. What happened with your daughter's case?
He did get found guilty.
Okay.
He got, actually he was sentenced with manslaughter, which is only 15 years. And a lot of people, they was angry. They felt like he should have gotten more time. But what they don't understand is when I sat in that courtroom and I heard guilty, that's all I wanted to hear. I wanted the world to know that who this monster was and that he didn't get away. So I did get justice to me.
Okay.
He had to face justice later on. This is just justice here on earth. But at the end, he got to face the man above.
I hear you. Lavon?
Yes, my son was a loving, a sweet boy. I had 2 sons, and I thank God for allowing me to have 25 years with him. And I always say thank God for the opportunity that I had. God gave me that child, and I did everything in my power to raise him to the glory of God. And on 2012, I got a call from my sister saying that Labar had been shot. So I jumped in my car and I began to just ride, because I didn't know, she didn't tell me where he was. So I began to just start driving. Then I called her back. I said, well, where is it? So she said where it was located. So I said, where is it? Where is that? I don't know. So she said across the Highway 29. So I began to go down there, and the police had tape there. So I jumped out my car and I began to go to the police tape. And the police said, you can't come through here. You can't come through here. I said, that's my child over there. Because I seen a sheet over him, over the car. And I just knew he was dead. So immediately I just turned around and I got back in the car, and I was like, I didn't know what to do, I mean, that was a nightmare that day. And after people started coming, I guess they started hearing about it, and they started coming to the scene, because I was the first one at the scene that drove up. but God. But God. And it was like God had covered me. And somebody described it to me that they said, look like God just put a sheet over you and covered you. And that's why I always tell people, I thank God for the peace that I have. And that way I can help other people. Because if I didn't have the peace that I have, I could have lost my mind. And that's why I say, but God. And we give God the glory. We're not a religious group, but we give God the glory because we know.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
Yes.
We know.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, they have, praise God, they have, Robert Parker was the one who killed them, and he has been tried, and he is in jail now, serving a life sentence, and prison, a life sentence. And going through that, because I had to actually go on the streets myself, put out flyers and asking questions. And I was like, what can I do? And I had a wonderful team at the police department. And I thank God for each one of them. But I went myself and hit the streets and started knocking on doors, and PAIN went as well. We knocked on doors, asked, hey, do you know anything about this case? Please contact the police department, Crime Stoppers. And we went on saying, if you know something, please tell it, because you could be in the same situation. And bullets or crime or violence, they don't have no name on it. I mean, so it can happen to anybody. A homicide, it can happen to anybody, you know, and they don't have no racial color on it. It's not a color thing. So thank God for PAIN. Thank God. And it is a group like this, and I love these ladies, and we laugh together, we sing together, we cry together, we pray together, we even go on outings, and like Angela said, we go to court, because we had a lady, Miss Mary Archibald, she was our counselor, and she came and counseled the whole group, and she said, I am preparing y'all because y'all are going to be able to help other mothers that's going to be walking this same path, and y'all need to be ready. And she was right. I was just telling Angela the other day that Miss Mary Archibald told us that we was going to be the core of this organization, and then we're going to be able to help others. I was just at the courthouse the other day sitting with a family, and you know, and I said, I know how I feel. So I thank God that God has me in this place to be a help, because I can't bring my son back, but I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I help somebody else that's going through the same thing. And I think that's what it's all about, helping somebody else.
It's beautiful. I love the spirit of each and every last one of y'all, and even the perspectives that you have and that you give. I mean, it's powerful. There's power in it.
To say this too, Dee. A lot of people don't understand, and also to make it through this, you're gonna have to have a lot of forgiveness in your heart.
Yes.
Because if you can't forgive, you'll never move on. You'll remain a prisoner in your own mind. And that's what I had to do, is learn to forgive him. And I'll never forget the night they found him guilty, you know, had sentenced him. And he called and he said, can I speak to my son? And I said, yes. I said, but I want you to know this before I give him the phone. I said, I want you to know that I forgive you and that I love you. And he said, how can you love me if you think I killed your daughter? I said, it's not what I think, it's what I know. I said, but how can I say that I'm a Christian and I say that Jesus died on the cross for me, for all that I've done. So in order for me to say that I love him, I have to say that I love you and that I forgive you for what you've done. And I gave his son the phone.
Yes,
and it's that day that this young man is somebody that I treated like family.
You can get yourself sick, like hating somebody and dwelling on, oh, you killed my child. I mean, you can be crazy and out of your mind. The day that it happened, I ask God, God forgive him for what he don't know what he do. And I still meant that today. If I see him today face to face, I will ask, why? Was it worth it? I mean, you know, I feel sorry for myself as well as I feel sorry for him. So you can't get yourself sick behind that, because if you keep saying you hate them and hate them, you can actually get sick behind it. Because I see mothers that it's not where we at, and they about to lose their mind. I know a mother that committed suicide behind it because she was just so upset with the person that did it. So
That's good information. Bonnie, let me turn now to you. Tell us about your sister.
So my sister was 14 years old at the time. She went missing on September 28th, 2001. She was last seen at a party. There was actually 2 parties in Cantonment that she was last seen at, running around with some older kids that she shouldn't have been with, and a group of known drug users. So she was when she was last seen at the party, it was a Friday night, and there's eyewitnesses there that say that they saw her at this party. Throughout the weekend, my mom started calling around, to her friends, just trying to figure out where she was at, because she was technically, not supposed to have left the house that night. So when she wasn't there Saturday morning, my mom kind of just started calling around, trying to figure out, where she was. She later called the police and filed a missing persons report. And from there, it just, all different types of information started coming out. But, at this point in time with her case, we're really just focused on recovering a body, because everything that we've received from, eyewitnesses that say that they saw her at the party, as well as those that were associated with the group that she was with, we suspect that she's dead. We've kind of had to learn how to live a new life. This September will be 18 years. And, there's not a day that goes by that we don't think about her, that we don't miss her. I think I commend the ladies of PAIN for their perspective. I can also attest to the fact that, if you live a life full of anger and pain and just, not letting that loose, and just keeping it inside, it really can mess with your head. So for me, I've, after 18 years, there's really not a whole lot I personally can do except for, tell her story, run her Facebook page. But I've focused on turning all of my energy and all of my desire to help others into a YouTube channel where I interview family members that have missing persons. And, there's just, I think when you experience something like this, you either can go in 2 directions. You can go, like they were describing, and down the wrong path where, suicidal or drug use or just alcoholism.
Vigilante, all kinds of things can happen.
There's just so many different things that you can, that can lead, or you can choose to do something about it. And much like them, that's my way of doing it, is if I were to focus every day on, I have to find my sister, I would drive myself insane. And that's just not the way it works. But, I think if I had to leave the public with any kind of insight, it's to know where your kids are, know what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, and also provide them with ways to make good judgments. Provide them with the foundation that they need to make those good decisions, and check in with them. and just be a part of their life. And also educate yourself. Human trafficking is a big topic, and we hear about it a lot in the realm of missing persons, so even nobody is we all could be a victim of human trafficking. And Lavon and I were having a conversation about this the other day on the phone, just being aware of your surroundings when you're at the store, and just using good common sense and common judgment. And to those who may have information about my sister's case, my sister, please call the Escambia County Sheriff's Department. You can also call Class Kids, which is a search and rescue organization that's done a lot of searches for my sister. We really at the end just want to know where her body is and want a recovery. So,
tell me this: where are the authorities in the investigation of your sister's death? Don't want to talk too much about, because you never want to compromise an investigation. But I understand there possibly is a suspect, or that they are looking into some things.
Sure. So one of the people that my sister was last seen with is currently in jail. He's been convicted and sentenced to lewd and lascivious behavior on 2 minor females. At the time when the incidents happened, he was in his mid-20s. These girls were minors. My sister was 14. The other girl, I don't know who she is, but I know she was juvenile. So he's in prison, and he has been sentenced, I don't know, it's been sentenced to over 30 years. He's been questioned, and we pretty
So he's a person of interest then?
Person of interest. We pretty sincerely believe that he or somebody that was at that party that night knows something. Okay. Whether or not she, was intoxicated or took drugs and OD'd and they just freaked out and had to get rid of a body, I don't know what happened. But I can tell you that we believe that she's dead and that he knows something. Okay. And we want to know what it is. We want to know where she's at.
You answered the question I was going to have next is what are you thinking? And you just said it. So
I've said it multiple times, and to family members and friends. As far as I'm concerned, whoever murdered my sister or disposed of her body could walk free tomorrow. I just think that it's important that my sister isn't thrown out like a piece of trash, and that she has a proper burial. And that's my, that's
so you're
my
in
take.
Forgiveness too.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I've chosen to just forgive, and to me, the end result is having her body home with where she should be.
Yes.
And at rest.
Yes.
There's other family members of mine that would probably tell you differently, but that's my take on it. Mm-hmm. And at the end, like I said, I just want my sister's body. That's all I want.
Gotcha. Well, we have Tara and Ellison on the show, and of course Tara is with the police department, and of course Ellison is with the Coalition with Human Rights and that sort of thing. But you all have personal stories too, and so I'll let you tell a little bit about that, and then let's get into some of the other reasons of why you've joined us here on the program today. And we'll start with you, Tara. Ladies first.
Thank you. I've had different experiences with family members, mostly cousins. I come from a huge family, and I have a cousin that was killed in South Florida he was about 19, D'Angelo, and he was at a club and a stray bullet shot him. And I have another cousin, Mark Davis, who was killed a couple of years ago by an officer in Mississippi. So I've dealt with it, but I cannot say that I understand you ladies' pain. I've seen my aunt, and I can't even understand her pain, even though we're close. So I have dealt with it on opposite ends. And so I'm glad I'm in the position I'm in to be able to, help out victims those surviving victims of those that have went through things like this. So
good. So you can advocate. You can fight law enforcement.
Yes.
I got you.
So I'm able to help them to understand the process. As they say, they go to court with the mothers, but some mothers don't reach out to them. Wonderful organization. I've often referred other ladies to them, say, hey, this organization is here. But I'm able to give them and guide them to places that can help them. There's the Attorney General has victim compensation, and so that's paperwork that these mothers can complete to get funds to help bury their children, to help with loss of wages. And everyone's not as computer savvy, or they don't have the means for that. So I'm able to print that paperwork out for them, explain that paperwork to them. Small things like the paper need to be notarized. I can notarize it for them, so they're not running around trying to get all these things done while they're trying to bury their child. And it's easy to be able to go and speak with them. Our officers are so busy running a case. Their children are someone to them, but they're so busy, working a case. When we had our recent homicide of Elizabeth Harris, our officers were literally working for 36 hours. From the time they got the call, our investigators came in and started doing what they had to do. And so they're working. And so I'm able to go in with these mothers and say, just so you know, they're working. And your child is more than just a homicide to us. We know their name. Our chief knows their name. Our mayor knows their name specifically. And so that's the best part, is to give them some comfort and then to help them be directed into where they need to go to get things taken care of. We have a victims and witness pamphlet that we can give to them, let them know what they're looking at, what's going to come ahead, whether someone's arrested or not, let them know what rights they have. It's not just about victims of homicide, the family that remains, but victims of domestic violence, victims of sexual assault, any type of thing. I'm able to go out and just tell them, this is what you have that's available to you to make the process easier, even though I can't take away your pain. So
I love you in that position. I mean, I know it's hard, just so necessary.
Yes.
And your personality and your about it is on point.
I've been with the police department since 2001. I kind of fell into it. But I worked my way up. And even in the different positions that I've carried throughout the police department, I was always trying to be active in whatever we were doing outside of the department. So we do a Citizens Police Academy once a year. So I would always work that, even when I was working at the bottom in records. And then I kept going. And then when I became the chief secretary, Chief Simmons started a Christmas giveaway. And so we would do Christmas for underprivileged. So I started heading that. And so I just kind of ended, this is something I've always wanted to do, is to be a part of my community. And I work for a department of officers that I truly trust, that I truly care for, that I know care for me. They've been with me through a lot. I've had several surgeries. I've lost my mom. I've adopted kids, and I've been off and never out of leave. These guys have looked out for me, and I know the things that are going on in our nation with officers in our community, but I love that my department loves to say, we understand, but we are not those guys. And we want you to see us for who we are, and that they've given me a platform and a place to go out there and speak for them and with them, beside them. And so I'm so excited to be able to do that.
You know what? It is nothing like having an opportunity to work with law enforcement.
Yes.
I've had the opportunity when I was under Governor Don Sigelman in Alabama, working for the Alabama Department of Public Safety with the state troopers. And I tell you what, and this was in my stint of having lost my sister to a DUI driver, and I wanted to advocate and fight against that. But having worked with law enforcement was an experience that taught me to really appreciate the men and women who wear blue.
Yes.
Because they're putting their lives on the line.
Yes.
And they don't want to have to come and tell a mother or a loved one that someone's been killed,
Yes.
whether it was on a highway or whether it was a shooting. It's the worst part of their job. Their hearts go out to us for having to do it. It's a necessary thing when it happens.
They remember things. They remember the cases, especially when they involve kids and their fathers, their mothers, and they know, they want these things solved. They want it taken care of because for them, it's them.
Yes.
It's like, I have a child that age, or, I have a son that age. And Chief Tommy Light is very big on, being in the community and being a part of the community. And so, our department being as small as it is, it's easy for us to communicate with each other and for us to talk with each other, which I love. And then, you know, you get to know them on a personal level. One of our sergeants is my best friend. He's also the godfather to my children. But I have to see him in that vest and with that gun.
Right.
And then I have a radio and I hear that call and I see them running out the door. They don't think about it. They don't stop. They don't hesitate. They just automatically go.
I had this thing, you know, when you were a child and you watch Hawaii Five-0, you used to say, book 'em, Dano, you know, and with law enforcement, whenever they got the perpetrator off the street, you know, whoever committed the crime, I just wouldn't say, book 'em, Dano, you know, you got them. And I'm sure that's what they feel when they get one off the street.
You know, they put pictures on their boards.
Yes.
You know, I go up to investigations and they have pictures on their boards and they have boards here and there and they're writing every name, every configuration they can to try to figure things out. And I see their frustration when they think they're there and they're not, or when they're trying to get what they need. And it's amazing to watch them work. But you know, they need help. And so even with her case being unsolved, you can call 1-800-CRIME-STOPPERS. It's 1-800-433-STOP. It is anonymous, completely anonymous. They give you a code. People are like, well, if it's anonymous, how are they going to give you the money? Because they give you a code. That's your code. It's your ID. It's like your security number. No one else can claim that prize but you. You're totally anonymous. They're going to ask you for your code. And that's it. No one's going to know who you are. Nobody can ask you to testify in court. And so somebody knows something about these cases. The young lady that was killed at a club during a time where there were tons of people there. And so somebody had to see something. And so we're just like reaching out to the community, going, tell us, because fear entraps you. And if it entraps you, it eventually entraps your community. It eventually entraps your city. So if you're fearful to tell, eventually those that put the fear in you take you over and take over your city and your community because you won't tell. But if you begin to speak, you know, you ever watch those shows, those crime shows? At the end, it's always where the community gets tired of that drug lord or that drug queen, and the community come together and speak against them and beat them up. That's what our community needs to do. They need to come together and say, you know what, we're tired. We're going to start telling, and we're going to come together and tell on you, and we're not going to be afraid of you.
There it is.
Exactly what it
I
is.
really appreciate you even educating us on the Aware Show about how the Crime Stopper phone line works.
Yes.
That it truly is anonymous.
Yes.
And all you have to do is call, drop that information, get your code, and pick up your check and get somebody off the street.
Yes.
Who needs to be off the street if they committed the crime. Let them do the time.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ellison, you got some personal in all of this, even though you're here
Yes.
representing the National Organization for Human and Civil Rights. You are holding some newspaper articles that have been laminated.
Yeah.
Go.
You know, I've been involved with civil rights for over 35 years. I went to school for mortuary science. So I truly, managing a funeral home for 20 years in South Florida, I've seen the pain and the suffering that mothers have felt. When I came back to Pensacola, which is my home, I said I need to do something other than just work 9 to 5, go home, and not worry about what's going on around you. I was the president of SCLC for 6 years, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Now I am on the national board, the National Movement for Human and Civil Rights, second vice president of NAACP. I will always speak out against violence. You mentioned the picture that I hold. There's 24 young people
Hold it up.
that
There you
was
go.
killed in 1 year. 24. And most of these people on here was killed by people that know them. And that's shameful. So when I go to funerals or go to counsel a loved one, I tell them that I feel your pain, I feel your grief, but we're not going to stop telling young people stop the violence. Stop the violence. You can get angry with a person all you want, but you do not have to get a gun and take a person's life. Because once you kill a person, you never can go back to that person and ask for their forgiveness. And it affects more than the victim, the person that perpetrating the crime, it affects their family also.
Yes.
My niece was shot 5 times. in a local public housing area here in Pensacola. She was sitting on her porch with her little granddaughter, and the two guys was running through the apartment areas, shooting at each other. She got up, just as any mother would, to drape her body around the child. She was shot 5 times. The morning I got to the hospital, the doctor said, we have given her 100 pints of blood, and she just keep bleeding out. She was in a coma. And we began to pray, and some ministers that she went to school with, Minister Terry Simmons was there with her from beginning until the day she was discharged. So when I got there, all these people was in the waiting rooms and all, and these were friends of hers. I say, you all say you love her, but you won't even tell who shot her. And the bullets hit every vital organ in her body. The doctors told us she would never be the same. But it was God's grace that was protecting her. So my mission is very easy to support these mothers. I've been to a lot of funerals. Just at a funeral last week, 20-year-old Elizabeth Harris, as Tara have said, was going to her car, shot in the back. Her funeral was last week. That's an open case. And I ask anybody that know anything about her shooting, call Crime Stoppers so we can get those guys off the street. The most important message I think we can give here tonight is that these people on here are real people. They was uncles, fathers, sons. They are loved even in death by their families. And what we try to tell people, when you hurt another person, you're hurting your family, because if you caught, you're going to get incarcerated, or you might get life or death sentence. So we're going to keep saying, stop it. Stop the crime. We used to have prayer walks. We just had peace rallies, 2 in Pensacola. One a week ago Tuesday, another one just yesterday. People came out that have lost children, and we're going to keep having peace rallies until the violence stops. We know what the answer is, and the answer is people respecting one another. When you hurt another person, you are disrespecting that person. We're asking the schools and the ministers and just lay people, preach a message of nonviolence. And that's why I love the teachings of Dr. King and Jesus Christ. Jesus came with the great message of loving other people.
God is love.
That is love. That is love. And I tell people all the time, I'm never going to abandon these ladies. I'm going to be with them. I said about Donnell, I drive through Pensacola and I see her picture up on the billboards, and I go home and pray for her. I pray for her return. I pray for her family who have went through many years of pain and suffering. So we're not going to stop. As I said, past president of SCLC, the teachings of Dr. King is so near and dear to my heart, but the teachings of Jesus is much more important.
Oh, amen. I think we all amen to that. Tyra, I want to come back to you because so often police get a bad rap for different things. The reason why I'm coming to this is because the Pensacola Police Department does a lot that you all don't even tell the community that you're doing.
Yes.
Tell us here on the Aware Show, just some of the things that you all are doing.
So one of the major things that Chief Leiter did when he became chief was we adopted O.J. Sims Elementary School. And so that's the school that we mentor at. So we actually had the school board come in and do a mentoring class specifically for our employees. And so our sworn and non-sworn employees mentor at that school, including the chief himself, and our command staff. For Teachers Appreciation Day, we went out there with Doghouse Deli and Centennial Bank, and we handed each one of the teachers personally a coffee mug with gifts in it, just to show them how much we appreciate what they do. We also did Camp Friendship last week. It was our first one. And what we did is we just had camp with the kids all week. We took them on field trips. We took them to the Naval Air Station Museum and all kind of other stuff, and then brought them back. We fed them lunch, snacks, all day camp. And then on Friday, the officers came in uniform. They hadn't worn uniforms all week, so the kids didn't know they were officers. And so on Friday, the officers came in uniform along with the chief and the command staff and played dodgeball with the kids. So it's the kids against the officers.
And then the kids get to hit them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. And some of the parents joined in. So, I was the microphone MC. I was like, hey, this is an opportunity to get your parents. So that was great. And tomorrow we start our Friday Fun Days. This is our third year doing it, where we go to different community centers within the city of Pensacola, including Fricka Center, Cobb Center, Woodland Heights, which is right behind Pensacola Village. And we just go in shorts and Pensacola Police Department t-shirts, and we play whatever the kids want to play. And we take snacks and juice. So we play dodgeball, we play kickball, we play basketball. We leave with some bruises, but we have a good time.
I kind of seeing like a dunking booth or something.
Yes.
I'm like,
hey, Chief Leiter has been in the dunking booth. And we do arts and crafts with them. We color with them, whatever it is that they have available for those kids to do. And we make sure we spend that full 2 hours there. So if we stop doing something, we try to find something else to do with them. We also plan a bike rodeo this summer, where we'll go out to one of the apartment complexes and teach the kids about the safety of riding the bikes and all kind of stuff. We're doing presentations at a couple of daycares with Officer Greg Gordon, who is our community officer. And so he goes in and talks to the kids about bus safety, bullying, riding the bikes, all kind of stuff. And so we love, that's my job. And so as you can tell, I love it.
Yes.
And our officers love it. They actually do. They love this part of it.
I think it's important for people to see the officers doing the serving part.
Yes.
They do the protection.
Yes.
We want to see them do the serving in
And
the
so
community, and that's what you're doing.
Our goal is for every act of enforcement we have to have double the acts of kindness and interaction with our community. So that's our goal, and we hope we meet it and go beyond that.
And just want to give you a chance to say it, because I don't want to miss this. This year, 2019, how are we faring with
So this
crimes?
year we've had
crimes?
about 5 shootings within the city of Pensacola, and we've had 1 homicide, which was Elizabeth Harris, who was killed at the Platinum nightclub. Innocent standby, 1 bullet hit her. And so we are asking our community to please help us. Right now it's still an open investigation, and we just want this case solved for her mom, for her sister who was standing with her, who had to watch her die. And so we want that solved. And so we've had 1 homicide this year, and we're hoping that within the city of Pensacola, all of Pensacola, that's it for this year.
Because 1 is too many.
That's enough.
We don't want any.
And so we're hoping that that's it for this year. And we want them to know we're going to be wherever you're at. And so don't think you got away with it. We're looking for you.
We're coming to get you. Book them down. Ellison, just want to give you a chance before we wrap up here to tell us a little bit about what your organization is up to. I know as it relates to this, but just to give you an opportunity to
we also join in with food giveaways.
Okay.
Once a month. Pensacola Carrying Hearts. Mrs. Fannie Finkley asked myself and other members of the civil rights group, we volunteer to come out there in the rain, sunshine, cold, heat, and give away 30 to 40,000 pounds of food.
Good.
We also help with voter registration, showing people how to fill out forms, because our legislators have just passed a law giving people their right back to vote.
Okay.
But you got to fill out the registration form.
Very good.
As a registered voter. You get just like you filling it out for the first time.
Right.
Send it to Tallahassee and let them tell you whether you're going to get your rights back or not.
At least do the work.
You at least do the work.
And then for what you're doing with PAIN,
Yes.
you're there on the front lines.
Yes.
And you're there too, Tara. You're there at some of these events and supporting these women.
Yes.
And I love the fact that PAIN stands for parents. I mean, the P is parents.
Yes.
It's not just mothers, although I'm certainly appreciative of the fact that the women are here, but this is parents, because men are parents too, and they've lost a child as well. And so I like that you all encompass that. Closing thoughts. I'll start with you, Linda.
Just want to thank you for the opportunity to let me share my story about my son, and he'll always be in my heart. And that's what his baby always say. He always in my heart.
Special. Angela?
The one thing that I have to say is that for the mothers, once the funeral is over, the pain is not. Still go by there and check up on them and see how they're doing. Pick up the phone, pay a visit. She still needs that comfort, no matter how long it's been. Check in on them.
Lavon?
I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here, and for the community to come together as one. Put down the guns, and if you see something, say something, because you could be in the same shoes. We don't know.
And the information that you share can be the one piece of the puzzle that puts it all together.
Yep.
All right. Bonnie?
Thank you for having me and allowing
Y'all don't have to thank us. We're so grateful that you came, but thank you for thanking us.
Yeah, and, well, it's thank you for giving us a platform to tell our stories. And this is another opportunity for us to get my sister's story out. And again, I'm just really big on that. If you see something, say something, but also educate yourself. Educate yourself about the signs of human trafficking. It could be in your neighborhood. You never know. Be aware of your surroundings. Know what your kids are doing. I'm just so big on just be aware and call if you know something. Call. Say something.
Yes, I love that. I love the tips that you're giving.
Yeah.
Lastly, Tara.
I'm just so grateful to be amongst these women, and to see their strength and to see them tell their stories. So many mothers don't have the strength to tell their stories.
Absolutely.
And we need them to tell their stories.
Ditto.
It helps us when they tell their stories.
Okay.
And so I'm grateful for you telling your stories, and I'm grateful that the Pensacola Police Department and you all have given me an opportunity to help to bring the community to be one, because we as a department are a part of the community.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you each and every last one. That's all the time we have here for the Aware Show. I always thank my guests for participating in the program, and thank you for being right there with us. And if you want to find out more about PAIN or some of the services and community programs provided by the Pensacola Police Department and other agencies, you can jot the information down here that we're showing you on your screen. Get involved. I leave you with this. There are many factors that contribute to crime in our communities, and subsequent Aware programs will focus on some of those issues. We'll explore how community groups, law enforcement, churches, businesses, and educational partners are working together to stop the violence in Pensacola. Get involved, make a difference. I'm Dee Dee Sharp. Until next time, stay informed and stay aware.